And I think we are going to see him both rev up his supporters to contest elections outside of courtrooms and go to every courtroom he can in America where it's relevant to make whatever arguments he can, no matter how far-fetched. We saw
Jonathan,
that
I've
work
got to
out
speak
last
up.
time, but it didn't work out this time.
Finish, Hugh.
It may not work. That may not happen this time. And now I'll let you go, Hugh.
Well, I've just got to say, we're news people, even though we're at the opinion section. It's got to be reported. Bucks County was reversed by the court and instructed to open up extra days because they violated the law and told people to go home. So that lawsuit was brought by the Republican National Committee, and it was successful. The Supreme Court ruled that Glenn Youngkin was successful. We are news people, even though we have opinions, and we have to report the whole story if we bring up part of the story. So yes, he's upset about Bucks County, but he was right, and he won in court. That's the story.
I'll let you keep going, Jonathan.
No, I don't appreciate being lectured about reporting when many times you come here saying lots of things that aren't.
I won't come back, Jonathan. I'm done. I'm done. This is the most unfair election ad I have ever been a part of. You guys are working. That's fine. I'm done.
All right, first off, before we get started, I just wanted to say thanks to everyone who subscribed. You guys are the fuel that will hopefully keep this channel going far into the future, and I am so grateful to all of you. Thanks. All right, so I ran across this clip on CNN this morning I wanted to share with you guys. This is their normal panel of 5 liberals ganging up on one conservative. Unfortunately, it's not Scott Jennings because that guy is phenomenal in there. But this cracks me up. It seems like I would not be surprised by anything from the left at this point, but the irony and just the absurdity of this clip is amazing. These liberal panelists want to make the accusation that Trump's claim so far of potential fraud, which has been proven in multiple cases, at least through Pennsylvania that I'm aware of, but his accusations of fraud are baseless and without warrant, while at the same time turning around and making claims themselves that are utterly baseless and without warrant. It's amazing how they can do this, and the hypocrisy. Anyway, it's a short clip, and I'll walk through it with you and check this out.
I think if you look at Bucks County, the RNC filed a lawsuit there. The court sided with the RNC. Sure. You got to leave those
totally
open.
Different.
But
Scenario,
I'm going to get to my point.
She cuts him off right
in
away.
Virginia, Governor Youngkin was successful. The Supreme Court said, hey, the state can remove individuals from your ballots or from the pool that we believe may be in the country illegally. So campaigns have apparatuses in place to challenge issues like this. You do have the process after the campaign is over to say, well, wait a minute, we want a recount of the votes. Those things are typical. That's not out of the norm. My advice would be for Republicans, utilize what's legally within our capacity to challenge when necessary. So far, the challenges appear to be in Republicans' favor. I don't think the other rhetoric at this point in the game is necessary.
So legally doesn't necessarily always mean the best or morally right at this point.
Legally doesn't always mean the best or morally right at this point. Now, she's about to set up the stage that to show why it's not okay for Republicans to challenge elections or to challenge the potential fraud or suspicions. She's setting that up for that it's apparently not morally acceptable for Republicans to do that.
When you have a system that has been stacked with Trump-appointed judges in certain states where they have gone above and beyond what has been existing case law about voting rights and access to the ballot, there is cause for concern, especially when you combine that with this constant grievance message. And this is what I mean by that. Trump plays on people's grievance, their grievance about broken systems, about them falling behind. And his answer is not, black, brown, immigrant people, whatever. The second answer is the system is broken. So do not trust a
Trump plays on people's grievances. Now, what was that in 2020? The entire summer of 2020, if not Democrats playing on voters' grievance, the BLM riots, the burning, the violence, the murder. What was that if not Democrats playing on voters' grievance? That's just insane. But did you see she also, at the same time that she wants you to trust the system, she also at the beginning there turned around and said, well, we can't really, and I'm paraphrasing, we can't really trust the system because Donald Trump has appointed many of these judges. So this is a recurring theme that we see all the time, right? When the decisions go their way, you're not allowed to question or challenge the decisions. We saw that in the Allen Bragg case, right? The judges and the jury made the decision. You can't question that. You can't doubt that. You can't have any doubts about that because that's the way our system works. That's what Joe Biden had said, right? But now when it comes to the other way around and it favors Republicans, now all of a sudden the entire system is rigged. So they're going to beat up Trump constantly about saying the system is rigged. But when it's rigged against them, then they agree that it's rigged. But Trump was lying about it. It's absurd. It's just insane. But anyway.
Elections, do not trust anything around you. He has made it so whatever works for him politically, he has an audience mobilized and ready to go to question even the most mundane ongoing government system.
It's more than that. This is a blanket assertion that he has been making for months and months that the deck is already stacked, that this is a criminal process that is depriving you, my supporters, of winning this election, and we can't win this election because of this fraud that is being perpetrated on.
Well, the deck is stacked. We saw that yesterday in the clip that I played at the beginning of this, where was it Hugh Hewitt, the conservative on the Washington Post clip. He just walks off because the deck is stacked. He showed that, and I think more conservatives should do that when they come on these liberal shows. Just refuse to play the game that they want you to play, because the only reason they invite conservatives on is to gang up on them like this right here. We have 5 liberals on one conservative who barely is allowed to get a word in edgewise. But
thing that he said in 2020.
Exactly. And it is a basic campaign strategy. And part of the strategy is to create this idea that he has tremendous momentum going into these final days of the campaign. But he does. Through what we might call fake polls.
And I think the
which are Republican sponsored polls by and large. There are about 35 of them been done in the last few days that are weighted to show him with an advantage and to create the impression.
That's hilarious, because here we're watching CNN, and the last CNN poll that I saw showed Trump winning. So they want you, on their side, they want you to doubt everything about the polls, everything about what the judges say. They're setting up for it to be okay for them to challenge whatever. Well, I think I think it's pretty clear what they're setting up is the left gets violent when they don't get their way. So I think they're setting up a opportunity for civil unrest should Trump win in the election. They would like to see civil unrest, at least for the first few months, because that's less time that they'll have to be obstructing the things that Trump does or wants to do, because he'll be too busy just trying to keep the peace in the nation.
Of movement so that he can say, look, we were ahead in all of the polls. It also helps his turnout. And it is part of a basic strategy of grievance, being cheated, the same thing we saw that he used to try and stage a coup.
Those tactics are also getting a major assist from China. They're getting a major assist from Russia. They're getting them across social media.
Now they're bringing in Russia collusion. If Trump wins, it's Russia's fault. It's China's fault. it's not that people just want something different. They don't want Kamala. It has to be, we've seen this for nearly a decade now. They do this all the time. So now here comes the Russian collusion. We've had the courts are rigged against them. We've had the polls are rigged against them. And now this lady is going to bring in Russia and China collusion.
Seeing these images that are being perpetuated in battleground states specifically, where they're pointing to immigrants who aren't even people who aren't even from those states. A lot of those are stock
There was a
photos and saying that they're
video of
stealing
Haitian, exactly.
A fake video, just to be clear, of alleging that Haitian immigrants were voting multiple times. The video is completely fabricated.
But that is a Russian creation.
A Russian
that was
creation
done by the Russians.
And this is how it's going to play itself out
Russians
on election day, separate from election night. Right? We have driven people away from being normal poll workers. People every 2 years go to the same precinct.
Oh, wait to hear this guy. This is really good. Watch this guy. Wait till you see what he sets up. It's unbelievable what he's about to set up here.
And have done it for years, if not decades. So we have new people in a lot of these places, new in counties and precincts.
And in some cases, not to interrupt you, but in some cases, what concerns me about the trend is that there's this idea that only the hyper-partisan should be involved in the elections, which is not really the way things work.
Most poll workers are not hyper-partisan at all. They're really doing this out of civic duty. They're at their neighborhood church or school or what have you. But now there are new people in there who are also civically minded. They're going to make mistakes. Why are they going to make mistakes? Because it's the first time they've done this. You make mistakes the first time you do something. But everybody now can show up with phones and say, this is fraud, that is fraud, you're stealing, as opposed to somebody who's just made a normal mistake because they haven't done it before. That's election day.
Trump and his campaign are also going out of their way.
So far, here's how they've set up. Here's how they've set up the election if Trump wins. Here's how they've decided it went. This lady here, what did she say? It's the courts, it's the judges. The court system is rigged. This guy here says the polls were rigged, right? So this lady here, she says it's China and Russia collusion, and this guy just blatantly says that, well, if there's fraud, then it's just an accident. This is insane. People, I don't know, man. People trust this news.
Way to intimidate.
I just want to say this goes back to the Liz Cheney factor. He intends to intimidate people involved in the process. He intends for people like Liz Cheney, for the press, to be intimidated and frightened.
Intimidated. You think Liz Cheney's intimidated? Seriously. So I'm sure you're aware of what happened there. He made a common, over my entire lifetime, a common liberal viewpoint and statement that these politicians are quick to want to send our young men off to war, but they wouldn't be willing to put the gun in their own hand and go fight those wars. I mean, that's essentially the statement that he made, but I know you're aware of it. It's been all over the place. They turned it into something that it wasn't, and putting Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. So this guy's using intimidation. So we've had election, the system's rigged from the first lady. We had the polls are rigged. And then we had there's China and Russia collusion from the third person. Then the fourth person comes in and says, well, even if there is fraud, I'm sure it was just a mistake. And now this guy is blaming it on intimidation. This is cope. I mean, this is massive cope.
And the same for poll workers.
All right, real quick.
But I just don't think intimidation is necessary. Again, the two examples that I pointed out, I've worked on a lot of campaigns. You prepare for these types of things when you want to challenge. My advice would be to tell your voters, get out and vote, bring people with them to vote. And if we suspect something, we're going to go through the legal process for proper challenges, as we have seen. And if they're successful, great. If they're not successful, then that's okay as well.
Yeah,
Respect the
and
process.
Questions are not fraud. A legal process is not fraud. There's a process for these things, and it doesn't mean that there's fraud.
But supporters can deputize themselves, and that's what's going to happen on election day.
And that is one of the
what
main
we saw the
concerning
last
things.
time out was not what you...
Now you watch. If Trump wins this election, they're going to be claiming fraud everywhere. All over the United States, they'll be claiming fraud.
talking about, but rather bogus instances that were cited by the Trump campaign.
So anyway, I thought that was
Let's get
hilarious.
to MJ Lee. She is on that campaign trail tonight.
Let's see if we can stop that. That cracked me up. I caught that this morning. I wanted to share it with you guys. It's amazing. So, if Trump challenges, it's baseless and it's there's no substance to the challenge. But they set up also that if Trump wins, then it's all of these nefarious things that caused it. So, anyway, that's what I thought about that. You guys, let me know what you think. Leave a like and share this. And leave a comment. Leave a comment so I can chat with you about it later.